And one more inhalation with an exhalation. And you now feel yourself grounded. You're on a boat floating down the river, and Lucy's in the sky with diamonds. I hope you've had a wonderful day thus far. It's 5 o'clock on a Tuesday, and we're just getting grounded and centered. Because Mr. Zucker is a little bit rambunctious and uptight today, we are going to take one more breath. Oh, fill your belly up. Hold and exhale. Find the gratitude, find the bliss. You're in control of your perceptions and what you choose to focus on. And right now, we will focus on being here now. When I snap, you're supposed to stop the music.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know your directorial cues. Hold on. Let me quickly end this music.
Little Lavender. We bring
Is it better?
Kevin Zucker, what's up, buddy?
How you doing,
dude, we didn't talk all day today.
I know. I actually kind of liked it.
It was, I gotta tell you, man. I took a little nap at 3. I'm exhausted today, and
Why are you so tired? What did you do last night?
I did the Monday's Dark thing, man. And,
Were you one of the Elvises?
I did an Elvis song. I wasn't. You know that I wasn't one of the Elvises. What do you mean?
What song did you do?
I'm all shook up. Oh, look, I even colored my sideburns dark too to kind of fit in with those cool Elvis guys. Man, we got some good Elvis guys in this town. Go figure, Las Vegas.
It is Las Vegas. They made a movie about that at one point, didn't they?
About all the Elvis guys?
Hey, Denise Brown, thanks for telling me he was on Monday It's Dark last night, and he was fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate
Denise.
that. I didn't know what it was, but it is 1 p.m. Wednesday in New Zealand. Hi, Denise. How are you?
Anita was there too.
Huh?
Anita was there. Anita shared some videos. Put her comment up there because it's a compliment to me. Please.
She said it was a great night last night. Anita,
show it. Put the banner up.
And
Put the banner up. I want to see it. Yeah, you always put stuff on there. Good comments about you.
Anita said, "Good evening, guys."
Come on, man. You're skipping over the compliment.
Afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi, Patrick. What's up, buddy?
Anita said,
friend.
"Awesome last
There you
night,
go.
Michael. Did you see the video?"
Anita, I did see the video last night. As I got home and I was feeding my face with a quesadilla at midnight, which is not a food choice that
Was it a vegan quesadilla?
No, I don't do
Are you
vegan
vegan?
cheese. You know I'm not vegan, Kevin. Why? I'm not going to redline on this.
I'm not asking you to redline. I'm just wondering if you're vegan.
Anyway, yes, Anita, I watched it back. Thank you for filming that. Yeah, it was okay. I thought it was okay. And I, with my leg, the Elvis thing, I get this wiggle thing going on, and I had to be in my head about not.
They call that restless leg syndrome.
Well, but it
think
just
it's a
happens
wiggle
when
thing.
yeah, it's called the wiggle. It's the Shapiro wiggle, man. But I was real cautious not to overdo the knee thing. Right, it's the first time I played with a brace on, but I got to tell you this. I felt pretty good, and when I woke up this morning, I'm like, I don't think I need surgery. The MCL sprain is feeling a lot better. It can still trigger it, but it hasn't triggered in a while. It's a little sore to the touch, but like the stability's a little off. But I thought I was going to be hurting today. When I woke up this morning, I felt pretty good. So, but anyway, it was a very fun night. Sold out show. I haven't seen that full in quite a while. It was a good time. They heard that Anita was going to be there, so everybody bought the extra tickets and came in.
How are the
there.
ticket sales going in for the one Reckless in Vegas show coming up?
We're just about sold out. I think there's 6 tickets left.
Really? So
sold out.
we don't need to put up this rousing, amazing graphic about your
it's still
show at
6
Vic's
tickets.
on the 29th of September?
Well, next Tuesday I'll give you a new one that says sold out. I know how you like to do that on your shows. Sold out. I've never sold out a show before, so I don't do that.
This is great, man.
Okay, that's
There's
a
always
joke.
things to aspire to.
How about taking that down now? Yeah,
You don't want it up?
There's a few
We're not
tickets
talking
left.
about
If you're watching
this?
and you want to grab some tickets, go to Vix.com, Vix Las Vegas. Right there, yeah. Isn't that weird the way that's backwards? Like, I want to go this way.
It's odd. Yeah.
It's odd. It's very odd. So
Yep.
how are you doing today, buddy? Talk to me. What's going on in your life?
I'm great. Everything's wonderful. Nothing to share. It's wonderful. Things are beautiful.
Pretty mundane, bro. Like the same. You doing
I'm
the rabbit hole?
I'm even. You know what I mean? I'm even. Like things are I find that living in an even sort of stasis prevents any highs and lows, and it's a much easier place to exist in, and just a neutral sort of mundane
It sounds like you've started your
plane.
medication. You get your medication
No,
leveled
I
up.
don't have any medication.
Mhm.
I don't.
That's
I'm lucky. I don't have.
maybe
This
you
is my
should.
medication right here. Let's show everybody. This has been sitting in here since I had the flu, the Hall's
Yeah,
relief,
Halls
and
for the flu. That's a good call.
well, no, because I had a cough and it
Oh yeah,
helped.
yeah. Well, you said the flu. You didn't
Hey,
say
listen,
cough.
you prick!
Yeah.
Knock it off.
Guys,
Oh,
guys,
Murray Sawchuk is
guys,
back with us.
guys. Listen. I'm gonna go to Canada, right? Because I'm about that area, and you guys, Kevin's being a little flat and boring. And you know me, I like to spick it out. Even though I talk really fast, and nobody can understand me when I'm doing my comedy magic. The point is that Murray Sawchuk, celebrity magician here. Listen, guys, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you, Kevin. I'm not gonna ask you how you doing because you just told everybody that you're just kind of flat. And yeah, can you imagine me doing my comedy and my magic with kind of Kevin's tone? But excuse me, sorry about that. Listen, I'm pissed. I'm from Canada, right? Right? Kevin?
Yeah.
Did I offend you?
No, not at all. No.
Murray Sawchuk, good to see you. Good
Let's
to see
hear
you.
it for Murray, everybody.
Shut
Hey,
those dogs up. Shut
hey,
those dogs up.
Michael, last time I saw you, we did this Mark O'Toole roast. Remember that we did?
I refresh my memory. What happened?
We did this Mark O'Toole roast. He had a three-year anniversary. Apparently, you're celebrating 3 years now, like it's a big fucking deal. But Mark O'Toole has a show for God's Waiting Room. All these people that are just waiting to pass into the next realm, and it's fun. It was fun to be a part of.
Do you find that annoying?
Your dogs?
Yeah, it's Melvin.
I find you
find me
more
annoying.
annoying than the dogs.
Continue. Yeah.
I
So
can do
3
it.
years, celebrating 3 years.
So we celebrated 3 years, and they decided. Actually, my wife came up with the idea for a roast while we were having breakfast with Mark. Mark loved the idea, and then it turned into the production that you and I were a part of a couple weeks ago. Did you have fun doing that? Oh, he's muting his.
Yes, I did.
Professional this show is. He's muting his microphone to yell at his dogs. We don't want to hear the real Michael Shapiro. Yeah, there he is. Tear that dog an ass.
Yes, I'm sorry. What were you saying? Yes. It's good that I muted that. Did I have fun? Yeah, dude. I liked it. You know, he invited us to do it together, which was fun. You know, I don't have a lot of stage time together, you know. And you know I adore you, man. And you're so talented.
You're a dear friend of mine too.
And you had dear did you catch that? You're a dear friend. That's a bunch of bullshit. But I do consider you a close friend. And I like most of you. There's some things I don't like, but that's part of friendship. And being on stage with you was fun. And I thought that was a really good event. Our guest today is part of that production. And I think that it runs pretty smoothly considering that Mark O'Toole realized that he had no pants an hour and 20 minutes before showtime. So
yeah, and he sent his helper back to his house to get his pants.
His husband.
His husband. His husband?
Yeah.
I thought it was his assistant. He sent his assistant back to his house to get the pants so he could, do his
wear
show.
Pants.
It was a fun show. It was a little. Listen, our friend Vincent John,
our dear friend
Vincent John, opened the show with a whole lot of profanity. And I heard Mark has not been asked back to play his show there anymore. There we are. My good buddy Danny Williams says Kevin showers in pants. I do. Water offends my genitalia. What can I say? I try.
Does it even hit it? I don't even know you can get up in there.
Listen, it's my junk. I can choose to wash it when I want. That's all I'm going to say. So, yeah, it was a good show.
Meows.
Vincent John, profanity laden, a whole bunch of F-bombs, right? It was great.
Yeah.
And then are you gonna euthanize those dogs in a minute? What's going on over there?
I'm trying not to redline, man. I think the cat's gone. So he loves pussy, right? We have this cat that runs back and forth out there and taunts him, and he goes nuts. But he's a chip off the old block. He's a good chip. It's a good block. That's that Harris commercial my dad and I like very much. But Melvin is I would never hurt Melvin. Back to the show. I had a blast. I thought that Vince was great. Vinny was is Vinny smoking pot? Papa Vinny?
How do I know? I don't sell to him. I only sold to everybody at my table. Kelly Clinton Holmes was all on it.
Yeah, she's a big pothead.
Murray
She was
Sawchuck was
great.
buying from me.
Murray was a little flat.
bought. Yeah, everybody. Listen, I'm just joking. I don't sell.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean flat?
Sell weed anymore
I'm from
in
Canada.
Las Vegas.
Oh, you can't.
You
make
thought
any money.
Murray was flat? You thought Murray was
Yeah,
flat?
Murray was like, whatever. He phoned it in,
Hey, Murray, we need you to come on because you need to defend yourself against.
I'm right here, Shapiro. Consider the source. He's a talentless piece of work. All right, goodbye.
So listen, let's move forward, shall we? Is there anything we want to talk about before we bring on this incredible guest? I can't wait to get in her pants. I mean, bring her to. I'm sorry, to get into her head. Wow, that was definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to talk about. Our friend Paula. Today's guest is a celebrity. Her name is Paula A Roth. We're gonna have to ask her what that A means. She's a veteran television producer and writer. Paula A Roth is best known for her work on the series Happy Days and its related spinoff Laverne and Shirley. She began her career in 1976 as a story editor and writer on the series Laverne and Shirley. Roth wrote 13 episodes from 76 to 82 and served as an executive story consultant and editor as well. In 77, she began working on the hit series The Love Boat, writing episodes from 77 to 86. In 80, she began to produce, working on episodes of the series Good Time Girls. Later the same year, she wrote episodes of the series I'm a Big Girl Now, Making a Living. And in 82, she began writing for the series Happy Days and served as an executive story consultant for 4 episodes. That year, she wrote a spinoff called Joni Loves Chachi. You remember that show? We got to ask her about that program. I heard that was one that she absolutely loved working on.
It didn't work, did it? It didn't work.
Starring the ever so eloquent and wonderfully understated Scott Baio. In 86, Roth began working on the series Perfect Strangers, which she wrote a ton of episodes and produced. And anyway, we have Hollywood royalty with us today, Michael Shapiro. We really do.
I'm surprised.
And here she is. Ladies and gentlemen, Paula A. Roth.
You showed up. Hi, Paula.
Most importantly, she found the
queen.
technology. She found out how to work the technology to come on the show today. So I think she deserves
and in Mark O'Toole's honor, I'm not wearing pants either. So it's going to
stand
go
up
well,
for us. Stand up for us. Come on.
He did. Paula, listen. He did this to me when I didn't wear pants, and then called me a liar that I wasn't wearing pants. And when the show ended, I showed him my ass crack to show him
You
that
pulled your pants down and showed me your butt crack. It ruined me.
Okay, sorry I even mentioned it. Can we move on to All About Me?
That would be
now?
great. That would be great.
Because you promised me this would be all about me.
All right. So first question for you. I have an important question for you. After the pleasantries aside, can you help Kevin and I make and have a great show? Can you help write for us?
How much money you got?
See, I made it about us, and then she made it about money.
I'm funny for money, honey. That's my career.
That's the truth.
What about
Just
paying
the
shit
truth, man.
forward? What a career you've had. I mean, was
Hey,
everything
you
true
think
that he
of-
read?
think
Hold-
of-
you
listen,
shut
Paula.
up. Shut up.
Listen, Paula, we have
Look, Michael,
a wonderful.
the reality is, I do help some performers in town with their acts and refining it and maybe making it funny, and they cannot afford me, so I do not charge them anything. You people, $10,000. Okay?
Wow.
Listen,
And that's the discount
listen.
price.
Paula,
Yes, my love.
you've written and been a part of some of the most iconic popular culture television sitcoms in history.
That's
right?
correct.
You wrote for the Jack Benny Show. You wrote for all those black and white television shows. Wait, no, I'm serious. No, I'm teasing. No,
Okay,
listen.
but let me tell you something about that for a moment, okay? Now, you know that Gary Marshall, who created all those wonderful shows, he used to put together a writing staff that consisted of young people. I was young then, like myself, but he also put a lot of older writers in there, and I'm talking old. I'm talking people who wrote for Benny and Lucy, because when the younger writers would raise their hand and think that they had reinvented the wheel, the older writer would stand up and said, yeah, when I did that joke for Benny, this is how it went. And it would take the air out of their sails a little bit. So I didn't technically write for Jack Benny, but I was in the presence of people who wrote for Jack Benny and Lucille Ball.
And you enjoyed taking the wind out of the sails of people, didn't you?
I myself, when I was a showrunner, I was one of the cruelest showrunners there
I
are.
could smell
I'll
it.
tell you a
Listen.
quick story about when I was running Perfect Strangers, because I was the showrunner. At the time, there were not very many women doing that, but I was alone doing that. And I would sit at the end of the rewrite table. It would be a long conference table. And it was kind of the pecking order. You know, my producers would sit up at the front of the table, and the less experienced writers would be going down the road. And what I explained to them at the beginning of the rewrite was, I have incredible hearing, okay? And I promise you, even if you're all the way down at the end of the table and you pitch a joke, I can hear you. But if you think I didn't hear you and you want to pitch it again, go ahead. I promise to you, I now have heard your joke twice. But if you think I didn't hear it or didn't understand the brilliance that you were pitching, go ahead, pitch it again. And if you pitch it again, I will make your life a living hell. And that's how I ran the
Listen,
rewrite table.
tell us the story. You had no experience about writing, right? You didn't go to school for it. You didn't
Not at all.
You didn't study how to be a writer. You were thrown. I love this story personally because you were just thrown into the fire. You were given. You had a relationship with somebody that kind of introduced you to the business,
Okay.
and
All
and
right.
it
I'll
blossomed
tell-
from there. I love that
If you
story.
stop talking, I'll tell you the story.
No
so
shit.
Anyway, here's how it goes. I was born and raised in the Bronx, and it was a very interesting neighborhood because a lot of very, very well-known people have come out of that neighborhood. Carl Reiner lived there. Rob Reiner lived there. The comedian Robert Klein lived there. The Marshalls, of course, Penny Marshall, Gary Marshall lived there. Also, I went to school with a couple of other guys who were not in the business per se, but they were very famous people today. One of them was Calvin Klein, and the other one was a guy named Ralph Lifshitz. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing a Lifshitz today, if you can see that right there.
Terrible
Listen,
name. Terrible
listen,
name.
Changed his
Calvin-
name, obviously. Changed his name
Calvin
to Ralph
Klein.
Lauren.
Calvin Klein stays close to my a-hole, if you know what I'm talking about. I wear him all the time.
I hardly ever wear any of their clothes anymore. They're too damn expensive. Nice. So anyway, I grew up in this neighborhood, and as luck would have it, I was pigeon-toed. And my mom took me to the pediatrician who said, get her dancing lessons and she won't be pigeon-toed anymore. I was about 5 years old. She took me to this local dancing school, which happened to have been run by Penny Marshall's mom, Marjorie. And I took dance lessons from Marjorie from the time I was about 5 years old till I was in college. And my mother, who was a retired seamstress, she used to work on Broadway for Brooks Costume Company. She ended up working with Marjorie in the dancing school. She made the costumes. Marjorie taught the dances. Over time, they became best friends, Marjorie and my mother. Penny and I, on the other hand, not so much. Penny hated me. Penny was the youngest of 3 children. No, she was the youngest of 3. I'm an only child. And her mother would always say, Paula doesn't talk back. Paula does her homework. Paula. I would have hated me too. She did not like me. She would get me in trouble in school. She told people not to play with me. Didn't work out between us at all.
Wow.
Our moms, however, remained very close friends all the years of their lives. One day I'm living in New York in a 5th floor walk-up doing a terrible job. And I get a call, and it's Penny. And she says, and I quote, Rob and I, she was married to Rob Reiner at the time, Rob and I are in town at the Park Lane. We're having a party for the people from New York. Do you want to? I don't think she got the last word out when I was knocking on the door of the hotel room.
Wow.
And for some reason, this non-friendship became a friendship.
Yeah.
So every time she and Rob came to town, they would take me out to nice places from my 5th floor walk up with the Roaches, which I really appreciated. One year on my big 2-week vacation from work, I went out and visited with Penny and Rob. Penny took me over to the Paramount lot and took me up to say hi to Gary, whom I knew. He had 2 shows on at the time. He had Odd Couple and Happy Days. And after we chatted for a while, he said, Penny, take her over to meet the guys who are doing Happy Days, because they're from New York too. She takes me over to meet these guys. And I met them and we chatted for a while.
The guys meaning writers, or who are the guys?
Yeah, they were producing the show.
Yeah.
And now we're leaving the lot. And I said to Penny, excuse me, those guys make a lot of money? She said, yes. Now, one was tall and fat and ugly, and one was tall and skinny and ugly. And I said to myself, I am cuter than either one of them. I'm living in a 5th floor walk up with roaches. What's wrong with this picture? So she said to me, I said, how do I get to do what they do? She said, you have to be a writer. I said, how do I get to do that? And then she gave me the best advice you can ever give a writer, a fledgling writer, which is write what you know. She said, go home, watch TV, find a show that you can relate to and write an episode of it. Well, Rhoda was on TV then. I got Rhoda. I was Rhoda. That summer, my friends and I took a house in the Hamptons. I never saw the sun because I spent the entire summer writing what I thought was an episode of Rhoda. She and Rob happened to come to town in September. I handed it to her, shaking hands. And she said, well, this is no good. And I said, well, goodbye, Hollywood. Hello, roaches. She said, no. She said, you're funny. And this, you don't know anything about how to write a sitcom. You don't know how to write, do scenes or act breaks or anything like that. She said, but you're funny. And you can be taught to do everything else except be funny. And she said, if I can do anything for you, I will. Fast forward to after she and Cindy did the episode of Happy Days where they first appeared as Laverne and Shirley, I get a call from her. She says, get ready to come out here. We're shooting a pilot and you're funny. Come on out here. So I had about a week to get ready. And I was born and raised in the Bronx. I never got a driver's license, okay? So, but I knew I was a smart little girl. I knew when I was in LA, nobody walked anywhere, everybody drove. So I took driving lessons in Manhattan where people would scream at me.
Oh, yeah.
Learn how to drive. And I would yell, there's a guy next to me with another steering wheel. What the hell do you think I'm doing here?
And you wrote it down.
So I fly out to LA and she did get me a job as her driver.
Oh.
And I didn't know how to drive. So when she needed anything done, we would get in the car. She would drive me to the dry cleaners. I would say, Ms. Marshall's dry cleaning, please. And then she'd drive me back to the house. I'm living at their house with Penny and Rob and all their famous friends. And I was having a ball. After about 6 months of this, she fired me. She said, you're not learning how to drive, are you? I said, She said, you're fired. She said, learn how to drive. I got my driver's license in the next 10 minutes. She said, now go upstairs and go sit with the writers and learn how to be a writer. And that's how it happened.
What a huge break and
unbelievable.
Yeah. So did you I mean you come off as a very confident, experienced woman. Did you have that? So did the dancing as a young child, did that give you a certain level of confidence? Because you can fake it, but when people don't know what they're doing, to be able to put that gift, I call that the gift of con. Did you have that? Did you pretend to know what you're doing?
I had it to a certain degree, but
yeah.
Unlike me, this is how Gary ran a rewrite table. Once again, describing the long conference table, I was way at the end. At Gary's rewrite, I was not allowed to speak at all. I was allowed to whisper into the ear of the person next to me, a guy named Marty Nadler. And I would whisper if I had a joke to Marty Nadler. Marty Nadler thought it sucked. He didn't say anything. But if he thought it was funny, he would pitch it. And if it got shot down, he wouldn't say anything further. But if it got accepted, he would say that's Paula's joke. So unlike the way I brought people along, I was brought along in a way that was quite slow. And Gary it was basically, I went to comedy college. Every day was a learning experience because Gary was one of these people. Now there are a lot of producers in television and maybe in all forms of show business who think what they do is so magical that if they dare share a moment of how they do what they do, you will take it away from them and take their job. But Gary wasn't like that. Gary's attitude was, here, learn everything I know how to do. I'm sharing everything with you because the more you learn how to do, the less I have to do.
Sure.
So we all learned how to write. We learned how to produce. We learned how to cast. We learned how to edit. We learned it all. And that's basically where I went to comedy college, was on Laverne and Shirley.
Real time, yeah.
I find the most talented people that I've met in the music industry have nothing but love to share their experience and their roadmap, right? Like they're an open book. It's the posers. It's the ones that really don't have much talent and really are probably hanging on by the skin of their teeth that really try to make it difficult for people to excel in the business.
Exactly. I
Isn't
mean,
that crazy how it's that way? Yeah.
my attitude always was, I don't know how to do everybody's job. All I can say to a person like my set designer, this is where I need the action to happen in this scene. Make me a set. I don't go in and draw a set and give it to her to do. That only makes them want you to fail, right?
Sure.
Right.
If you're too full of yourself, if you express your inability to do their job, they appreciate that. They really and truly do.
Explain to our audience what a showrunner is. I don't think, it took me a minute to figure it out a handful of years ago, but it's a very important gig.
Basically, as the showrunner, I was the boss lady. I was the CEO of the show. I was in charge of getting the show written, getting the show filmed, getting the show edited, getting the show laughed, all of that, and getting it on the air. Period. From start to finish was my responsibility. And that's when I learned how very important it is to share the responsibilities with other people.
Right.
Otherwise, you'll die.
All those shows were taped in front of studio audiences. Is that
All
correct?
of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's the way TV comedy needs to be done.
I agree.
I don't think comedy happens in a vacuum. I think the audience tells you what's funny. Okay.
Well, Friends,
and if something dies, then make it better. Don't just laugh at,
Friends was
crack.
not, right? Friends was not in front of a studio audience.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
And Seinfeld in front of a studio audience?
Yep.
Yes, it was.
So these are the great shows. Going back to all the shows you've done too. That you think that's one of the magical components is that studio audience?
I think so.
Well,
I really think so.
The interesting thing is like Modern Family, right? It's that new sort of single camera shot, not filmed in front of a studio audience,
Correct.
right? It's more like it's filmed like a movie, and I not taking anything away from funny, because they clearly have some funny writers that know what they're doing on shows like that. But listen, I'll never forget the first. Michael, have you ever sat in a taping of a sitcom in LA?
No, only like talk shows. Never sitcom. I don't have that experience.
The first sitcom I ever sat in the audience was at Universal for a taping of that show in the 90s called Coach with Craig T. Nelson and Jerry Van Dyke, Dick Van Dyke's brother. And to sit in the audience and watch the dance that happens between the actors and the cameras and the blocking, and it was so magical to me as a producer myself on the other side of things. It was really cool to see that. It was very attractive as well too.
And we all have Desi Arnaz to thank for that.
Amazing,
Basically,
right?
He created the form. He thought
Wow.
he was working with a woman who he knew lived off the audience, got her energy from the audience, and he figured out a way to take advantage of her ability to work in front of an audience and put it on TV. He was a genius to do that.
Brilliant.
There's a dance studio in Boulder City. I think Arnaz, they lived in Boulder City, or somebody lived in
His son,
his
Desi
son.
Jr.
Okay. Do you know Desi Jr.?
I don't know any of those people.
Okay.
I don't know a lot of people in the business. When you work on a sitcom like I did, you have no life.
What's a day like? Like what time does a day start?
I'll
What
take
time
you
does it
Monday
end?
to Friday, because say the show films on Friday.
Leave out a couple details though, because we don't want this thing to go on for 6 hours. Go ahead. You have the floor. Ooh, look at that look.
And then on Friday,
Look at that look. I love it.
No, because because civilians find this a little bit interesting. We read the script on Monday morning. Then the actors, usually, depending on how good the script is, they either get on their feet or they go home. Then we writers do a complete rewrite. Tuesday, they come in with a rewritten script. They work all day, and we work on future stuff, because another script is done and another script is done and another script is done. We work 3 weeks on, 1 week off for the actors. So you're constantly having produce future material. So anytime that we're not with them on stage, we're working on shows that are coming up. So Tuesday afternoon, we do a very rough run through with them. And Tuesday afternoon's run through is the actors run through. In other words, they're holding script, and afterwards we sit down with them and they tell us where they're having problems, where they're not comfortable, whatever. Wednesday, we don't see them again till the afternoon. We do another run through, and the studio and the network will usually come to that one. And what I would do when I was a showrunner is I would assign the youngest, most inexperienced writer to go and take their notes, because I don't care what they have to say, but they always want to feel like somebody's listening and nodding their head and saying, they learned the expression, "We'll take a look at that." That's all you have to say to them. So then at the end of Wednesday's run through, that's my run through to give my notes to the actors about things that I think are not working. It's very reciprocal. We work together. We go back and forth. They tell me stuff. I tell them stuff. Thursday, we don't see them at all. We're working on future scripts, especially the script that's going to hit the table on Monday. That's camera day. That's when they block the cameras. Friday, we once again during the day, they're working all day. We do a run through with them in the afternoon, and we give some tiny little notes, maybe just a little tweak here and there. And then we film the show in front of the live audience. And then we go home and we do it all again the next week.
Was it a leapfrog? Was the show? I mean, it didn't show live, right? It came out later, right? Not like Saturday Night Live.
What happens is you get about a 5-week cushion at the beginning of the season. Okay,
yeah.
And they work 3 weeks on, 1 week off. Usually, what happens along around the holidays, we run out of shows, and that's when you're dying for a preemption of any kind. Right. A war, an earthquake, anything.
Wow.
And that's that's why you'll see a lot of shows do what we like to call the very special episode, the very special Thanksgiving episode, the very special Christmas episode, because then you air them every year. Right. And that helps you get a breather and be able to move on. But it's breakneck, it's constant.
It's a grind.
It's very, very hard job.
Wow.
Is it 100 hours a week or more?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there were times that I don't remember coming home 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days were two very different shows to work on. Laverne and Shirley was very much a challenge. Happy Days, not so much. So,
is it personality related? With the actors or
For sure.
Okay, so did you, when you wrote for these shows, Happy Days, for example, did you write for a specific character or all the characters?
She was Marion. She was Mrs. Cunningham's personal writer.
No,
is that true?
What happened was everybody writes everything. So at the beginning of the season, you've got a bunch of shows that they're going to be assigned to writers.
Yeah.
And I didn't really love Happy Days. I didn't care. Chachi has 2 dates. Joni gets a zit. I could give a crap. Okay. But whenever there was a show about Mr. and Mrs. C, the adults, I would raise my hand and say, I'll write that one. So Marion Ross got it in her head that I was her writer.
Oh, yeah.
And she was very sweet about it. Paula, I love what you write for me. And I would, of course, take the credit. Yeah. Then fast forward, Happy Days is over. It's 3 years later. I'm writing on Love Boat. She comes on to Love Boat to marry the captain. And I happen to write that episode. So forever in her mind, I am Marion Ross's writer.
Well, you are.
I'm more than happy to have that title. Believe me, she's a fantastic lady. She really.
Out of everybody you've worked with, if you could only work with one more person right now, and alive or past, who would it be? If this is your final script that you're going to write,
I would want to work with Robin.
With Robin
Williams.
Yeah, of course.
I would give anything. I would give anything to be in the presence of a person who would take the material and make magic. I mean, he was magic.
It's got to be so cool, right? It's like a songwriter writing a song and then having a superstar cut it and seeing the emotional,
just brilliant.
And this is a connection that takes it to that next.
And luckily for me, people like Penny and Cindy, people like Mark Lynn Baker and Bronson Pinchot, were people who did take the material that was on the page and make it better.
Yeah.
And you can't ask for more than that. You cannot ask for them elevating what little jokes we wrote into much bigger, better jokes.
That might be more prevalent with comedy. I know there's a lot of directors and writers that they don't want their actors varying from the script at all. They don't want them to add anything to it. And I don't know if that's an insecurity thing or they're just staying so focused on the vision and the end game. Comedy seems like a palette that you know, it's a canvas that maybe when you have that kind of talent, it is going to elevate. What
I
the
don't know,
writers have
because
done.
I have a tremendous respect for actors. And I feel like if an actor is embodying a character and he can come to me and say, I don't think that my character would say this way. I think he or
Mm-hmm.
she would say it that way. I'm going to say yes. You're living it. You're that character is in your heart and soul now. And as time goes by on a show, after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, I will always listen to what you're saying because you know way more about the character than I will ever know.
Hey, you're not so mean now, are you, Paula? Now you're nice
No, I
and
actually
open.
I'm very nice to people whose talent I respect. Take that however you wish.
Okay, it's time to throw some celebrities under the bus. Who is the
Okay.
worst to work with?
I think that was a good time.
Right? She's still talking. Look at her.
Yeah, I know, Paula.
You're such an ass, Michael.
Well, I figured that was the time to
she
it's
was
a-
she was going to give some like really
I
really deep
know.
information.
We're gonna have
there.
to have her back then, I guess. You know,
I think that's a really
La-
good idea. Hey,
ladies
listen,
and gentlemen who are viewing, if you want to hear Paula's throw some actors under the bus, then we let us know if you'd like to have her back as a guest. I thought you were going to do that there.
I
so-
was, but you beat me to it.
Oh, you were okay. So
Yes.
we must
So,
explain
look
right
at
now,
this.
though.
Listen, the best episode of Little Lavender ever. You know what?
Oh,
We've
Michael's
had
a fan
some-
of her shows.
We've had. Listen, look. Denise said, fascinating to learn about this.
Let's do something we've never done before.
Michael says, get her back now.
Okay, hold on. She's back. Okay, so we've never done this before. We always hang up on everybody on the show. It's our how we show endearment. We love you. You are the first guest that we have ever brought back into the show while we were still live. Just so you know. That's when I said to Kevin, "Did you let Paula know about the thing we do at
54
the end?"
episodes.
I didn't
So we-
know that.
Yeah, and that came from my grandfather's best friend who used to ask me questions on the phone like, "Oh, we're going to meet for dinner," and he'd say, "Well, what are you wearing?" And I'd go to answer the question, he'd just hang up on me. So Kevin and I, early in our relationship, I started to do that to him, and then he became the master of that. He'll ask me a question he knows I'm going to answer, and fucking hang up on me, and it pisses me off because it was my thing, and he took it. He's better. So Paula, congratulations. We have brought you back in. So, you want to answer that question that Kevin posed?
No, I'll answer it next time.
Oh, I love that. I love
There
that.
we go. A little
All right.
cliffhanger. Stay
Should we-
tuned for our Thanksgiving special of A Little Lavender.
With the
you know, it's
pressure's
great.
on. Our special Thanksgiving episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, do you like so I consider I'm a better improv guy. You put a teleprompter in front of me and I'm like, did you work with a lot of people that you found just struggle with that piece, or the shows you did, that was part of the craft? They had to be good at that piece.
I preferred working with people who had theater backgrounds. Theater people come prepared. People whose only experience is in film. You know how film is made? They film a quarter of a page a day, and that's all they have to learn. And theater people come in fully prepared, knowing the script, and then if you're comfortable with the words on the page, then you can play with it. Then you can get somewhere with it. So I always preferred working with theater people rather than people out of film, or, or the worst, of course.
Well, so that's,
we're stand-up comedians. During that terrible period of time when they thought every stand-up comedian should have a sitcom. I mean, Seinfeld was the exception, not the rule. But they thought if a guy is funny at the, Club Ha Ha, surely he deserved to have a sitcom. And that just wasn't the case.
Didn't
And I
translate.
have experience with
That's
that I'll
true.
tell you about the next show.
Okay. I think
Right on.
that Paula should take my place after episode 88, right? We're at
Paula, you're up here.
Did you
It's
hang
the
up
Paula
on
and
him?
Kevin. I did. It's the Paula and Kevin show.
Okay,
No,
I'm happy. I think
Yeah.
the chemistry is there.
I
think
think
we
so
can work
too.
on it. Yeah.
That,
He's
I
back.
worked-
worked, that
Yeah.
worked for me. That definitely worked for
Damn.
me. I wish we could have her in the middle of us, Kevin. We could do a sandwich, but you always have me on the side there. Yeah, you got a lot of love. Any final questions from our guests that are online right now for Paula?
Yeah, if you have a
type
quick
them
question
out.
for Paula, type it down in the chat bar, and we'll throw it on the
So
screen.
Michael said, "What as a former put Michael's comment up."
As a former theater people myself, he couldn't agree more. Listen, I grew up in the theater at 10 years old. That was where I first started performing, and I learned that, you know, there's feedback from the audience. You learn that sort of, it's like a cushion, right? There's a give and a take, and it teaches you, like Michael, you said, the skills of improvising, I feel, come from the theater too, because when stuff doesn't go right in the theater, somebody forgets a cue and you don't know, if somebody forgets the blocking, there's a whole lot of ballet that happens to try to figure out how to keep the scene moving,
Right.
how
Yeah.
to pick up the pace, all of that sort of stuff. And from someone who has also been on the movie set as well, you see it's a vacuum, right? There's definitely, you're acting for the three people that might be in the scene. It's a different skill set, I think.
And
personally.
and theater people know that the theater is a family, and everybody's the thing that everyone brings is equally important. I just would, after every episode of Strangers or any show that I was a producer of, I would go around to every single person, the gaffer, the best boy, the cameraman, all of them, and say thank you for another great week, because without them, we don't have a show.
Crucial. You have a question
Always
from
be
Denise.
nice. Always be nice to hair and makeup people. Always be nice to the cameraman, because they can make or break you.
And be mean to the junior writers. Denise has a
Always.
question. How many writers are on a series?
Depends on the series. Gary used to have as many as 10 writers.
Wow.
I worry about series that have very few writers, because then Gary's attitude was the more the merrier. If I have 10 writers and 8 of them are having a bad day, maybe these other 2 guys will feel funny that day. The other thing he did, and I'll just tell you, I will adopt you, Mickey, because I love your face. But the other thing he would do was create a writing staff that was made up of people with various strengths. In other words, there would be the guy, the Catskills, there would always be that guy, he's called the tumbler. He's the guy who would run around the pool doing crazy things to keep everybody's energy up. You always need that person, because at 2 a.m. when nobody's funny, somebody better be doing a little bit of tumbling. So there's that guy. There's the shy guy who's very quiet at the table, but if you send him off to write a scene, comes back brilliant.
Magic.
There are people who are funny at the table. So you create this
Smorgasbord.
troupe of writers.
Team. It's a team.
It is a team, and they come together in a very special way, and out comes a show. It's a miracle.
Listen, there's a reason why it takes 9 people on a baseball team to win a championship. Not everybody can be the pitcher. Not everybody can be the shortstop. You play your part.
Exactly the
And
same concept. Exactly.
a smart
Sorry.
executive producer knows how to stack his team, right?
I'm exhausted
Person
with your sports metaphors, man. They're
Oh,
just boring
knock it
and tired. And come up with something new, will you?
Whatever.
I mean,
Oh,
really?
sports were a very big part of all of Gary's.
Don't protect him. What, he was fucking lawyer?
Because
Come on.
Gary Marshall was well known for creating the Happy Days softball team,
Yeah.
and they traveled all over the world. And Gary was very into sports. I mean,
Yeah.
he loved it.
Sports
and
is
he felt that would bring his actors together in a way that they didn't have to be together on stage.
I mean,
Same
that's the
thing
thing.
in a band. Who is this Mickey? I like this guy.
This is my friend. This is my
Michael.
friend Michael. And Michael and I were in a band together when we were much younger, when we were in high school, and we wrote a lot of songs together. And he actually lives in Vegas now too. So it's been a wonderful relationship that I've had almost my entire life. And he's been commenting some great comments. He's definitely. We actually did some theater together too. Great guy. But you have really touched our audience today, Miss Paula. Thanks for joining us and hanging out.
We will have you
enjoyed it
back
very much.
if you're willing. We'd love to have you come back.
Absolutely.
I hope your knee is better really soon, Michael.
Last night was a testament to that. I'm okay. It's the surgery thing that I'm wondering about. But thank you for that, Paula. I'll be okay.
Well, if you have to take some time off, I am available. Just saying.
To perform, to do
to take over from you.
Oh, for the show? For this? Oh,
Uh-huh,
yeah, you know what? I give you an inch, you're going to take a mile. I'll never be on the show
Well,
again if you
duh.
take. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't want to get rid of this. You don't want to get rid of this
Look-
guy over here.
Look at
This
this.
guy?
Look at this creeper. Look
Yeah.
at this creeper making comments on.
She's
the
awfully
picture.
cute.
That's-
Oh, that's a
Paul is
hot.
not only funny; she's awfully cute too. Creeper.
Yeah.
Ooh, gross.
How long have you been married, Paula? You and Carl?
46 years.
Wow.
I love you. I love you
Oh,
both. You
that's
guys are
sweet.
incredible.
What's the trick?
27 of the happiest years of my life.
That
in there.
makes sense.
Never
That makes
really
sense.
but it was in there.
So in a long-lasting relationship, it's not all cherries and roses and all that shit. There's challenges, yeah.
There are challenges, but my relationship differs a bit from your guys because
Carl's listening, so pay attention here.
Well, no, I'm going to explain why. Because very often Gary Marshall told us, try to marry a civilian because they love you no matter what. They don't care if you wrote a great joke today. They don't care if your script got thrown on the floor or got danced around the room. They love you because you're you, not because of what you can do.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
I married a civilian who apparently loves me whether I'm funny or not, and it works for us. The other thing he told me, and I will leave you with this because it's very important. Gary had this cross-stitched on a pillow on a throw pillow in his office, and what it said is life is more important than show business because it is, and sometimes we forget. So remember, keep things in perspective. Life is way more important than show business.
Kevin, are you hearing? Did you hear what she just said?
I hear that, Michael Shapiro.
All
Thank you,
right.
Paula, from the bottom
You're
of
very
our heart.
welcome.
We
Yeah,
love you
we-
and
we love
Carl.
you.
We look forward to seeing, and your stories are golden, just like the girls you hang out with, and we love you. So come back and visit us
I
again.
get that little oots there at the end, didn't you? God,
Paula, I'm gonna be in touch very soon. You can help me write this guy off the show. Thank you for that.
no
Thank you.
worries.
Offer.
I'm
Yeah,
there for
perfect.
you. Take care, guys. It's great
All right.
talking to you.
All right, we'll see you later. All right.
That is the best.
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
It
really
doesn't
cool.
get any better than that. That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
absolutely. We can retire. Little Lavender is now done and over. We made it 54 episodes.
Let's have her come
and
back for 88. She'll be our 88.
That's the book. That's the bookend of the show. How
Yeah.
great!
All right, next Tuesday, same time, same place. You and me.
You want to?
Yeah, let's do it again. We'll do it. It's 55.